everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the launch of the WeCare 130 G23. I'm very excited to share with you today the iCare latest innovation. I'm Marine, the marketing and communication expert at iCare, which I luckily joined 7 years ago. As you can see, I'm not alone for this big day. Indeed, Fabrice Brion, iCare CEO, is right next to me. Hello, Fabrice. I'm so happy to share this major release with you today.
Hello, Marine. Thanks a lot.
Peter Van Camp, the CCO, is also with us to share his expertise. Hello, Peter.
My pleasure, Marine.
And finally, let's welcome Marc Roussel, the WeCare 100 director, who will answer your questions.
Hello, Marine.
Indeed, you have the opportunity to ask your questions from now on by using this QR code, and so during the whole presentation. So don't hesitate and ask your questions. We'll answer it at the end of the presentation. We are here today to introduce the iCare latest innovation, the WeCare 130 G23, which is part of our WaaS service. One important thing to know before starting is to know what is iCare, who is iCare, and what does our company do. Fabrice, you're the CEO and co-founder of iCare. Can you tell us a little bit more about the company?
Yes, of course, Marine. Thank you, and thanks to all for joining this important launch for us. iCare is a world leader in industrial predictive maintenance. I founded iCare quite 20 years ago with my college friend Arno Stevenaar. And since then, quite every year, but especially in the last 5 years, we have grown by 35% year on year, leading to revenue of 100 million euro this year and approximately 800 employees counting today, spread around our 26 offices in 16 different countries. Out of these 800 employees, 1 out of 2 is a shareholder of the company today. And what is very important for us is the value of the company and also the value we bring to you, our customer. And these values are very simple. We increase your productivity, and while we avoid risk. What are the risks we can avoid for you? Are the safety risk, avoiding accident, the environmental risk due to an impact of a failure, and also, of course, the risk of quality. But while we better manage with you this risk, we also allow you to decrease your maintenance cost and decrease your energy cost. Especially now, and I will let Peter later talk about that we can offer you the WeCare as a service solution without any CapEx investment. That's an example from a real customer of the value we can bring to you through predictive maintenance. I think you all know overall equipment effectiveness, OEE, and each of the blue dots you see on the screen is the monthly OEE on this petrochemical manufacturing plant. Then you see a green line approximately in the middle, which is the average OEE around the year. And then you see 2 red lines on the top and on the bottom, which are the extreme OEE, top and down, the customer faced during the year. What you can see, it's quite obvious. This customer started to implement predictive maintenance end of 2018. They have spent a long time to repair all the failure modes they found to avoid any planned and unplanned downturn for the next 2 years. And it has even continued up to October 2021. So what you can see is an increase of more than 15% of the average OEE and a decrease of the versatility, dividing the extreme OEE by 4. So we hope we have a real impact on your availability, your performance, and your quality. Depending on where you start and in which industry you are working, we can go up to 98% reduction of the downtime. Is it a planned or unplanned downtime? By predicting more failure. And all these things together can lead to an increase of your production capacity between 10 to 20%.
Thank you, Fabrice, for all your explanations. As you said, what iCare brings to its customer is the WaaS solution. Peter, as the CCO, you're in the best position to explain the WaaS to us. Can you tell us what WaaS is standing for?
Yeah, sure, Marine. WaaS stands for We Care as a Service. But we believe the first question to answer is why we think it is a good time to start your digitalized predictive maintenance approach today. And basically, if we look at where we are today, we believe we are in a new industrial era. And we for sure are. Everybody confirms. Although some might say we're in a hype as well. And basically, what we want to do with iCare is help you on your journey to better asset management using that digitalization approach. And that's why we come up with a solution as WaaS. But how do we do that? First and for all, what we want to achieve is that we want to switch that temporary hype into something that has a long-lasting impact, basically helping you to improve your asset uptime, maybe help you to cut some costs here and there, increase your customer satisfaction. What we do see with end users, though, today is that there are some that are refraining from that. Why? Basically because they believe the business case is not there yet, or they believe they don't have enough data or not enough capabilities to interpret that data. And that's exactly why we're here to help you with our We Care as a Service approach.
Thank you, Peter, for these clear explanations about the WaaS. Our WaaS solution has enabled iCare to develop several technological products. And today, we are pleased to announce that our sensor has reached a new step. iCare is honored to present the fourth generation of We Care sensor, the We Care 130 G23. This sensor is our new product to acquire asset data and anticipate the equipment behavior. But don't we say that several pictures are worth 1,000 words? Let's watch this video and see the We Care 130 G23 in action. We would like to thank once again our team for taking part in the creation of this video. You guys did an excellent job by introducing our sensor to the world. Peter, you wanted to add some details after watching the video.
Yes, with pleasure, Marine. So, We Care as a Service and why We Care as a Service. Basically, the last few years within iCare, we have been working very hard on developing this new solution. And basically, the launch today of our We Care 130 Generation 23 is the best example of that. So, the We Care as a Service is basically an all-inclusive approach to your full digital predictive maintenance. Our aim at iCare is to take away for you any potential burden of implementing a digitized predictive maintenance solution. So it is an all-inclusive cost per asset solution, basically aiming for you to give you the two things that you really need as an end user. That is real-life information on your asset health and basically the insights to improve it on the long run.
It is now time to answer some crucial questions. Why did you create such product? What it is actually? And above all, what difference will it make for industries? To be more specific, Fabrice and Marc will give us more technical details. Fabrice, could you tell us a little bit more about the technical specifications of the G23?
Of course. We will come back to the details with Marc later, but what is the most important to understand is that the G23 has been developed from D1 for mass deployment, as you can see in the video. It means that today, with the pace we were producing sensor of the past generation, it would have taken as long as 1,200 years to convert all the assets we were monitoring on customer side for our customer. So that's why we have invested in this new generation to allow mass deployment of high performance sensor, and we will go back on that. And I would like to give a special reward to our R&D team because we have had more than 50 people working for 2 years and a half to develop this new generation, which is really outstanding and disruptive on our market.
On top of that, we improved a lot of the battery lifetime of the sensors regarding the power consumption. We estimate the battery lifetime, and we proved that the battery lifetime is much more than 5 years, even if we are taking high-resolution measurement. We are able to take at least 4 measurements a day, 3 standard measurements and 1 iDNA measurement, which is specific measurement with the specific algorithm patented, the patented algorithm, sorry. The extended broadcast and automatic networks capabilities is also available to maximize our asset uptime. It's really ideal for all the rotating assets.
Yeah. So back to the technical capabilities, as I said just before, and it's the 4 key differentiating points for the We Care 130 G23. The first one is that the G23 is available from now in ATEX rated version with the orange bottom and in non-rated option with the blue bottom. The second very important thing for those who know about vibration monitoring is the frequency range, because our frequency range is as low as 1 Hz on the lower frequency part and as high at 20 kilohertz on the high frequency. This is key because more than 35% of the root cause failure of the asset we monitor on customer side today are related to lubrication problem. And in order to detect these lubrication problems, so 35% of the potential failure of your plant, we really need to go as low as 1 Hz in frequency and as high as 20 kilohertz in high frequency. Of course, if we have a wide frequency range, we need to have a high resolution. So the We Care 130 G23 has been developed with a 16,000 line resolution in order to allow a very low number of hertz between 2 lines. And finally, the We Care G23 is really ruggedized, but because it can work up to 50 G on site, which is tremendous.
Thank you very much, Fabrice and Marc, for all these explanations. It is now time to answer your questions. So let's see, what did you ask as questions? First of all, we have a question from Leo Turner. I noticed that you had an important fire in one of your buildings recently. Is there any impact on the production and/or delivery of the G23?
I will answer this question. Thanks a lot to care about us. Yes, it's true that it has been quite impressive 1 week ago. So 1 week before the launch of the product, an external part of the production plan was in fire. But hopefully, thanks to our team and the subcontractor who were on site to dismantle this old part of the plant, the fire has been terminated within 15 minutes, even before the firefighters arrived, and the production of WeCare G23 restarted as shortly as 1 hour 40 minutes after the start of the fire. So we can say that the WeCare G23 has been baptized by the fire.
Another question from Olivier Coulon. With the WaaS program, who is the owner of the sensor and who is the owner of the data?
I will answer this one, Marine. So in the WeCare as a service model, as I said, it's an all-inclusive model. Our goal is that we, iCare, owns the sensors that are on your plant. That does not only mean we own them, that means, as said, we take care of that sensor. Secondly, the second part of the question was regarding the data, I believe.
Yes.
So the data, on the contrary, the data is yours. We gather data for you, for the customer, and in the end, the ownership of the data is in your hands.
A viewer is asking, what does OTA stand for?
OTA is for over the air. Over the air means that we are able to upgrade the sensors directly and remotely from everywhere in the world.
We have another question from George. Does the sensor work on pumps with variable speed drive, or do you need an additional sensor to measure the speed?
Well, WeCare G23 embeds several algorithms, and one of them is able to detect speed from the spectrum, from the vibration measurement it is analyzing. So if the information of speed is available, of course, it's always better to get it, but even if it's not available, we can monitor the speed directly thanks to this new algorithm embedded in the G23.
We have another question. I see that you wrote ATEX approved, but I understood that you are still waiting approval. What's the status?
It's a little bit more complex than like that. For the ATEX certification, we will have it in for this summer. In fact, we already passed all the tests for the pre-test with another external notified body, and we will have the ATEX certification during the summer. It's just a matter of time.
We have a question about mass production. With mass production, when the battery is empty, do you replace the battery only or the entire WeCare? Can we do it by ourselves?
Yes, it's possible to replace the battery only. It's possible to replace it by yourself. The only limitation is about ATEX version, because the ATEX version, of course, cannot be opened and cannot be replaced directly on site, or you will lose the ATEX certification.
Pascal wanted to know, do you think that we can manage shakers vibrations with this new device?
Yes, of course, yes.
Well, I think that there is 2 parameters for shakers. The first parameter is the 50G, so as long as the shaker is lower than 50G, it's possible to monitor it. And the second parameter for the shakers is the high resolution. Why? Because we need to differentiate the vibration of the shaker itself, which is the process, which is what is requested for the asset to perform, from the vibration coming from the failure, from the root cause of the failure. So if the vibration is lower than 50G, I would say definitely yes.
Olivier wanted to know if the new sensor is waterproof, for example, for installation airflow of a cooling tower to monitor the transmission.
The sensor get the rating of IP67. Then yes, you can install it in a cooling tower.
One more question. As last sensor, will it be possible to follow the temperature and fix an alert on it with IC?
Yes, of course. Yes. We can. We also have two different type of temperature sensor inside the sensor, inside the box. One for the contact temperature and one for the ambient temperature.
We have someone that is starting in the predictive maintenance service, and he wanted to know what's the main difference of the eye care sensor, WeCare sensor.
Well, I would say there is, and that's the slide I've shared a bit sooner. I would say that we are monitoring a wider frequency band than other sensors on the market. We are monitoring this wider frequency band with a higher precision, a higher resolution, and above all, what was not on the slide, a lower noise floor level. And the noise floor level is very important because the noise floor level is the vibration, the perturbation created by the electronic of the sensor. And if you have a high noise floor level, it means you will not be able to monitor low vibration because the perturbation will be higher than the vibration from the asset itself. And so this allows us, frankly speaking, today, to predict a failure on most of assets before anyone else. Of course, we will never be able to predict 100% of the failure. Nobody is able to predict 100% of the failure, but we can predict a lot more and a lot sooner than we were able to do from now. So that's a first key differentiator. I would say the second key differentiator is we have a 5-year battery life. Of course, we will not ask you to buy a sensor to facilitate your maintenance task and after to ask you to maintain the sensor itself. It would be stupid. So it was very important for us to get the highest performance level and keeping it up and running for 5 years warranted. So if your sensor is not running for 5 years, we will replace it for free. And the last point, which is, I believe, very important, people often ask me as a CEO the question, is iCare a hardware company? Is iCare a software company? Or is iCare a service company? And I always answer the same way. We are a solution company. What is a solution company? It's a bit of hardware, a bit of software, and a bit of services.
We have some WaaS questions. With your WaaS solution, who is installing the sensor on site? And with the WaaS solution, do engineers still need to come on site?
Okay, good questions. First and for all, the installation. In most cases, we provide the installation for the customer. As said, and I repeat myself, we want it to be an all-inclusive solution, so take away the burden for the customer, so we take it in our own hands. Then the second question, could you repeat the second question?
So the second one was, do the engineers will still need to go
and do our engineers still need to go on site? No, obviously not. So the data, instead of coming from the engineer with the device and going outside of the plant from the customer, what we do today is get the data towards us, to our platform, and that's where we will start the work to interpret and transform that data into information.
Maybe just sharing with you some emotional moment for Peter and I believe. We both started our professional life in predictive maintenance 24 years ago. And by then, we had, with manual data collection, we had data on assets approximately every 3 months. And the frequency range of this data were 1000 Hertz. And the resolution of this data were something like 800 lines. Today, with the WeCare G23, we are able to monitor a frequency range from 1 to 20 kilohertz. It means 20 times more than 20 years ago. We are able to monitor it with 16,000 lines of resolution, meaning 20 times more also than 24 years ago. And finally, we are able to get data approximately every 2 to 3 hours instead of getting it every 3 months in the past. And already during the last 24 years, we managed to have a very low missed failure rate and a very low false positive rate in our company for our customers. So could you imagine today with this performance, which are totally without any comparison with the manual data collection, what we can achieve?
Ricardo wanted to know how many sensors could be connected to a gateway per gateway in this version, and is the range extender still available in this version?
The system is completely different regarding the last generation. In fact, before we have a gateway and we have some range extender. Now we only have one device called the gateway, but the gateway could connect 50 sensors, up to 50 sensors on one gateway. Of course, you can multiply the number of gateway on site if you have more than 50 sensors, and the gateway is directly connected to the cloud. If the gateway have no connection for one reason or another, the gateway will change the mode and switch into a range extender mode, and we'll try to find another gateway with which have an internet connection to get the connection with IC.
So finally, we managed to fusion the gateway and the range extender and to make it at a cheap cost, meaning that we don't need a range extender anymore because today's gateway is as cheap as our past range extender and has a lot more capabilities.
Can you monitor slow running equipment, for example, 66 RPM?
Yes, 66 is not so slow. If you are talking about 1 RPM, it's another story, and we have other device for that, but 66, yes, we can.
For the low RPM, it's especially the low frequency, and I think with a lower frequency at 1 Hz, we have the lower frequency in the market, which means we are the one able to monitor the lowest speed equipment on the market.
Some question of logistic. What is the lead time from the order to the delivery?
Tomorrow.
Can you measure the load of the installation?
Not directly with the WeCare. Yeah, that's a very good question, I believe. As you know, Industry 4.0 is not only about predictive maintenance. And predictive maintenance is not only about vibration analysis. Industry 4.0 is the non-silo world for data. And that's what we have developed with WeCare, of course, but with the IC platform. Just because we are totally open in and out. So this means that the WeCare is not measuring the load of your asset, but if you have any way to measure the load of your asset, if you have a sensor on the asset, if you have data from the automation system and so on, we can connect all this data directly to IC to the same point where WeCare sent the data from the vibration and the temperature. And the same outside. It means that IC is fully open to be synchronized with your CMMS system or with any other system you can use on your plant and you want to get data from predictive maintenance in.
A very challenging question. Big amounts of sensors, lots of data, etc. Does it mean that we will switch from quality domain into amount domain?
Well,
No, we will not. That's a clear answer. From our perspective, if we look at the digitalization for predictive maintenance, there were two main challenges to overcome. The first one was about the sensor, which we are talking today. But the other is, what Fabrice already mentioned, the amount of data we will need to process. And to be able to process that data, that's where the new approach of AI is kicking in. So the other thing we have been working on very, very hard in the past few years is developing our own algorithms to support our engineers to interpret the data. And that's a very important part of the explanation. If we speak about AI, we don't speak about artificial intelligence, we speak about augmented intelligence. We use those algorithms, who are based on all of our historical knowledge of assets and interpreting the data coming from that assets, to basically support our experts to know which data to look at and then basically send the useful and correct and accurate information towards the end user. And that's why we still believe quality can be mixed with quantity in this matter.
Maybe my part of the answer will be more philosophical, but it's true that in the past, quality and quantity were opposite. But in the technological world where we are living today, and the WeCare G23 and IC are clearly technological products, the quantity and the quality are going together. I take stupid example of the smartphone. The smartphone quantity has exploded in the last 10 years, but the smartphone quality has exploded in the same time, just because the quantity helped to lower the price of high-tech solution to be available for anyone. That's the same for the electrical car. The more electrical vehicle we have, the best each electrical vehicle is, just because it helps to mass produce high technology devices to have everyone using it. And that's exactly the same with the WeCare. The fact that we have a mass production, the fact that we are planning a mass deployment is allowing to get high technology, allowing high quality to be available on each WeCare, on each plant at a very competitive price.
Why are some sensors blue and some sensors orange?
I think you can even answer, huh, Marine?
Yes, I know it.
It's regarding the ATEX certification. Without certification, it's the blue one, and orange one is for the ATEX rated.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Could you link the WeCare 130 to DCS or automatic greaser, for example?
Yes, of course. In fact, we can use the API just Fabrice told just before to make the link between the sensors and the data from IC to the data, the customer data and the customer systems.
In and out. So we can get data from a DCS and we can send data to a grease spot to grease a machine.
Another operational question, how is your sensor fixed on the machine? With a magnet?
You can fix it any way you want. I mean, it can be a magnet, it can be glued, it can be screwed. We have planned any kind of fixation, so any fixation is possible. Again, in the past, when we started on the vibration world, on the wonderful vibration world, we were a bit like snipers. It means that we had only one data every 3 months. So the data we got should be very perfect, and the mounting of the sensor when we acquire that data was very important. Today, with the quantity and the quality of data we acquire every day, even if the mounting of the sensor on the asset is not perfect, it allows us to predict a lot before and a lot more than in the past.
How do you collect the data? Gateway, router?
Yes, we still have the gateway, and the gateway will communicate with the sensors and the cloud, and will make the pass, yes, between the IC and the sensors.
According result of data, are you able to find the right root cause of the issue? Bearings, lube, alignment, fixation?
Yeah, we have a catalog of more than 380, I believe, different root causes that we are able to detect with the WeCare, and it's constantly pending. I mean, thanks to different acquisitions we made, iCare is only 20 years old, but we have data on quite every type of industrial machine since 1984. This means for most of industrial machines, we have a database of data, but also a database of root cause failure that is very useful to get a diagnostic after a few minutes. Typically, on most of the WeCare, thanks to that database, we can detect a failure as short as 1 hour after the sensor is installed. We don't need a long learning curve to be efficient. But of course, it's still possible that you have some assets which are not on our database, and at this time, of course, we will be more than welcome to develop specific things to detect the failure on these specific assets. That's also what we call the services in the solution part.
Another question, can it be used in combination with a sensor cable to reach difficult areas inside the machine?
Yes, we can. We have different type of products in the WeCare 100 series. We have the 130, which are talking since the discussion of today, but also we have the 140. We can connect external sensors directly on the box and on the wireless box. But for the HVAC group, for example, we made a lot of tests and a lot of example on site, on customer site, where we install directly the sensors inside the box and we get the signal outside the box, just because we improve also the power of the signal from the sensors to the gateway.
What will be the maximal operating temperature for the plastic and for the magnet?
It's 85 degrees for the non-ETEX version.
Okay. What do we have more? Is motor current signature analysis complementary?
Yes, of course. So today we have no motor sensor embedded in the WeCare. As I said, we can receive information from any existing current, flux, voltage sensor pre-existing in IC and analyze this data in parallel of the vibration data.
Okay, let's answer one or two more questions. Is the sensor able to measure magnetic field?
The sensor itself, no. So again, our approach, our strategical approach is that we cannot be specialized in everything. So we cannot measure everything. We cannot have a high-performance sensor in any possible technology. And so what we have decided is to be as performant as possible on our specialty, which is vibration monitoring, and to be totally open on our database, so on our algorithm, to include data from other specialists and other specialized sensors to get the highest performance.
Okay. This will be our last question. You talked about mass deployment. How can we deploy this on a global scale?
That's quite simple from our side. Just to give you an example, I was talking in years, but I will talk now in units. It's maybe easier. The first generation of WeCare was manufactured at 10,000 units in roughly 10 years. The second generation of WeCare was manufactured at 10,000 units in a bit more than 1 year. And today we are able to manufacture 10,000 WeCare a week, and our target is to be able to manufacture tomorrow 10,000 WeCare a day. So that's very important to be able to fastly deploy digital predictive maintenance 4.0 on our customer side.
I know I said that this was the last question, but one last question. What about compatibility with previous WeCare 100 sensors?
The previous generation of WeCare have to be connected on the last generation of gateway, and but the data will be stored in the same database in IC. Then for the customer there is no differences.
So you have the same database, a single database for the WeCare 100 of all the generation from the past, from this generation, but also for the WeCare 200 and the WeCare Pure.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you, Fabrice, Peter, and Mark, for being with us and answering our questions. We couldn't answer to every question, but don't hesitate to contact your CCM or just go on www.icareweb.com and we'll be pleased to answer your last questions. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It has been a real pleasure to share with you the new generation of WeCare product range, the WeCare 130 G23. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our long-term customers for sharing this new step with us today, and also the newcomers who discovered our new technology and marked the start of a long journey with iCare. This was Marine for the launch of our WeCare 130 G23. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon at iCare.